I thought it was a good intro, naming the artists and musicians, and then a little bit of that personal hint of what you believe in it. And you had a good preview of the points. And you had lots of examples, like you'd say something and then you'd start to explain it like in a real life scenario. I thought that was very helpful for the audience. Some things seemed a bit jumbled on some points, like you'd get words mixed up a little bit, but I mean I still understood it, so it wasn't that bad. And then I noticed you also flipped the cards in a weird way like this sometimes, which seemed a little funny. Like you held it up, I don't know, it wasn't that bad, but it looked a little funny. And then your conclusion had all the main points and just concluded everything very nicely. And overall, I thought it was a great, it was informative, but at the same time, very persuasive.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to go along with you on a lot of those things. I think this is a good example, a way to kind of contrast what we had with an earlier speech. And you don't really... You have a subject that lends itself well to an informative presentation, but there's also a persuasive connection here, and I think ultimately you do a pretty good job trying to get to the persuasive element. I do think that it would probably be even more convincing if you had some of that data in the last point earlier in the speech about the decline in the number of hours that people have devoted to the arts, how this is really becoming a problem, give it a little bit more of a context. The other information I think is good, and it'll mean more, I think, if we have that presented in sort of an inverse order there. I know exactly what Brendan's talking about handling the notes, but it's hard to kind of describe it, because it seems sometimes like you were switching it from one hand to the other, and you know, a little bit sideways, awkward. It wasn't hugely distracting, but for some reason it just seemed mildly distracting. So pay attention to that when you're watching your speech. I thought you had a really solid organization. The introduction was fine. You set up the secondary claims very clearly. Everything was easy to follow. I do think you needed a little bit more convincing information on the first 2 points. You had some research and kind of a general explanation about some things. Like all the stuff about the brain synapses, that you just take that as a given. I'm not getting any of the background data on this. I'm not giving any of the proof. It seems to be your assumption that this is true, and so you know, it's true. And so we're just going to reason based on that generalization. Well, some generalizations I think you can say everybody knows are valid and true. I'm not sure that everybody is going to know this, and the whole thing about the right brain, left brain, I know that there are still people who suggest that there's controversy on whether or not that really is true. So I think you need to develop that a little bit more. All right. Thank you.